We are on page 435, Gita, and we are going
Yes.
to the paragraph. The cosmic illusion is sometimes envisaged. Okay. Keep in mind one thing, which is very often what we normally in our ignorance we think that there are only two things. One is an absolute reality and one is an absolute unreality. Now, this idea has to be completely uprooted from our minds. There is a gradation of reality. Okay, the physical world is very, 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 very unreal from a certain angle, and the highest is the only reality. Okay, this and between the two there is a gradation, and at each level of the gradation, each step, each stair, if you want, we see reality in a different way. Okay, this is what he is going to describe in this paragraph. Okay, so the cosmic illusion is sometimes envisaged, though that is not the accepted position by the Indian basic philosophy, the Vedanta. Okay, it is not accepted, but because Swayando's experience is very very detailed and he goes into great amount of details. So what he is saying, who is not accepting? The Mayavada theory is not accepted. Okay, even the Advaita philosophy doesn't go into details. They go only into the reality above and the unreality below. Okay. And even if it is not unreal, then also it is imperfect. That's a Shankaran philosophy. So, the cosmic illusion is sometimes envisaged, seen as, experienced as, though that is not the accepted position. Still, I am putting it in the same. I am putting it because that's my experience as something that has the character of an unreal subjective experience. What his meaning is that those who are experiencing this unreality, sometimes you say, someone who can challenge you says, wait, 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 wait. It is not that the physical world is unreal. You are seeing it as unreal. It's a subjective experience. Others may not see in the same way. Just like color blindness, na? Someone is seeing red as brown. That doesn't mean to say that that red is really brown. You are seeing in a different way because of your limited instruments of knowledge. Okay, that's what he's saying. As something that has the character of an unreal but subjective experience. It is not objective truth. Okay, as something that has the character of an unreal subjective experience. It is then. So at that time, when it is subjective, or it may be. Why Sremda is saying all these things? Because so many different theories are there. Nothing is absolutely categorical. It depends on where you are. So that's why it is then. That means when it is unreal subjective. Or it may be, you can consider it as something else, a figure of forms and movements that arises in some eternal sleep of things or in a dream consciousness and is temporarily imposed on a pure and featureless self-awareness. So these figure of forms, okay, they are only like photographs, like images on a cinema screen, and movements. Yesterday we discussed as movements, okay, that also is there. These forms are not static. These forms are all always moving. Remember that at the highest level there is no movement. There is immutability and stability. At the lowest level there is constant eternal movement. Okay. They are the two opposites. They have many, many opposites between the superconscious and the inconscient. Many of those things we have described, but they are not really opposites, they are different aspects of the same thing. One is at the highest level, formlessness, at the lowest level, form, at the highest level, infinity, at the lowest level, finite forms, then at the highest level, eternity. Here in the physical world, transience, no eternity, everything is time bound. And one of those things is the oneness above and the many below. So the absolute reality above and the relative reality below. So it may then be, it is saying, or maybe a figure of forms and movements, okay, that arises in some eternal sleep of things or in a dream consciousness or is temporarily imposed on a sorry, I lost the page, just 1 second. Yeah, I got it. And is temporarily imposed on a pure and featureless self-aware existence. Now, yesterday we discussed this a little bit, but I'll go into a little more detail. If you think of your consciousness as a that which is static, infinite, eternal, pure. So you can consider that in a certain, it will help you, the image will help you. It's like the cinema screen, but in the playground we have a cinema screen which is rectangular in shape but with borders. Now think of your own self, and your consciousness as without borders. It is infinite above, infinite below, infinite left, infinite right. And it is white. So white is somewhat featureless, but now think of your cinema screen as even not even white. Okay? And the images are the physical world, events and movements and forms which are being thrown on the screen. And the screen is thinking that I am doing all these things. Whatever is happening on the screen, you are thinking that I am doing. A time comes when the screen realizes that no, these things are being imposed upon me. I am being brainwashed. Okay? All these images are not mine at all. They are being imposed on me. Exactly like the phenomenon of the brainwashing. You feel when you are brainwashed that is your idea. It is not. It is imposed on you. So this is exactly what he is saying here. Sometimes it is seen in that way. So when the screen, your consciousness, realizes that actually the screen is sleeping, but when it awakes, it says that these are only being imposed on me. I am actually the infinite, eternal, immutable, featureless screen. That's what I am. But why are these images being imposed on me? I am identifying myself with these images wrongly. That's our condition. Whatever is happening in the physical world, we think that it is being, I am experiencing, and I am doing. I am eating, I am sleeping, I am playing football, I am going and studying and talking. This is all I am doing? No, you are not doing. This is the reality. This is the Advaita philosophy, but also it is also there in the Mayavada philosophy. The difference is that the Mayavada philosophy says that all these images that are being thrown on you are either absolutely unreal or somewhat unreal. Whereas the Advaita is saying they are not unreal, but they are real only in time and space. Okay, that's what Shanti is using the word or maybe. I hope the image we discussed is clear. Okay, that's what he means by imposition. Your consciousness is being imposed upon by the movements and figures in the physical world, and you think they are real. In the future, and is temporarily imposed. Why temporarily? Because the time comes that every man realizes that he is in ignorance and he is not the images, not the world, but he is pure consciousness which is infinite eternal. Like the Nirvana Ashtakam of Shankaracharya. Chirananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Na Mano Buddhi Ahamkara Chittani Naham. I am not the body, mind, life. So what am I? Chidananda Rupa. Chid Ananda Rupa. I am a form of the Chidananda. I am Satchidananda actually. That's what I am. So that temporarily, so they are saying temporarily imposed on a pure and featureless self-aware existence. Now, pure and featureless self-aware existence is a screen. The cinema screen which is white, infinite, eternal, but the screen is self-aware. It is aware of itself. In the beginning it is not, it is sleeping. But when it awakes, it says that all these things are being imposed on me. They are not me. So, it is a dream that takes place. Sridhar has also used the word dream consciousness because that is the image he will discuss in great detail because this is the Shankaran example. We saw yesterday that the dream is one of the examples given by Shankara. So, a dream, it is a dream that takes place in the infinite, not in your mind, but in your mind, your dream is personal. But the world is a dream in the infinite. That's why it is infinite. It's the individual and the universal. Your dream is individual, but the world is a dream in the infinite. Okay, it's in the impersonal universe that is there. That's why he's saying infinite. Okay, so this is the philosophy of Mayavada and Buddhism. Then again making that mistake. I've got it. In the philosophies of the Mayavadins now. Why is he saying in the philosophies? Because there are so many different branches of philosophy. There is Advaita, total oneness. Okay, that's it belongs to Shankara's philosophy. Then there is also the Dvaita, two-ness. The individual self and the universal self are two different things. The divine soul and the individual soul are two different things. Essentially the same but yet different. And because they are different, you can have love and relation with the divine. So that's a Dvaita philosophy. Then there is a Vishishta Advaita, special Advaita. That is, it can be both. It can be Ramanuja. That's Ramanuja. Okay? And our third one is the Madhvacharya, and there are others also, Nimbarka and others, who also feel that you can experience the divine, you can have relations with the divine. That's why they are using the word philosophies of the Mayavadins. In fact, now Sri Aurobindo integral yoga also, integral philosophy also is Advaita. It's a branch of Advaita. In the philosophies of the Mayavadins, not the others, for there are several systems alike in their basis, but not altogether and at every point coincident with each other. Now that's also interesting because the divine is not just one single rigid fixed thing. He can be so many things. That's why you experience in so many ways. This is the difference between the Hinduism and the other. Under the broad category of Hinduism, there are all these other religions. Hinduism itself is not a religion. We have Sikhism, Jainism, okay, Vaishnavism, Shaivism. There are so many different branches of it. Okay. Even Buddhism is included in it as one of the possible, because in Indian philosophy we do study Buddhism, Jainism, we do study. So, in the philosophies of the Mayavadins, there are several systems alike in their basis, but not altogether and every point coincident with each other. The analogy of dream is given. Okay. This is the originator of the Mayavada philosophy is Shankara. Okay. Is Shankara, but he has been misinterpreted because he used the word Maya. He is using the word Maya not in the sense of total unreality, but the way of seeing. It's a you are not seeing them. Maya, the original meaning is the power of the divine to create forms, but in the Mayavadin philosophy, it becomes the power of creating illusions. And in a sense, they are right, because what you are seeing is not what is the reality. No? Yesterday we discussed the wave. No? So the wave, you feel that a body of water is going towards you. The body of water is not going towards you, it's only a movement. Because at each point, as I told you, if you put a cork on the water, you will see that each cork is going only up and down, up and down, up and down. Okay. That's what also we referred also to yesterday's our drills, 2nd December drills. We had wave movements. Suppose there's a group of 20, 25 people aligned either in a circle or a straight line. Okay, each one goes and the next one goes down, next one goes down, next one goes down. You feel there is a wave traveling. Okay. Now this is very interesting because this is something very fundamental in nature. Okay. Have you ever seen a centipede walking? If you watch very carefully, you will see that there are maybe 100 legs it has. Okay. And each one moves a little forward and hits the other one, and that one gets activated again, hits the other one. And so if you see a centipede walking, you will feel that there are 2-3 waves at the same time in the centipede, in the legs movement, like a wave. There is no wave, there is only legs. So that is the interest. So it's an image. You get an illusion. So that we have read. Now Sri Aurobindo is saying the analogy of dream is given, but as an analogy only, okay, as an example, not as the intrinsic character of the world is. It is difficult for the positive physical mind, not the word physical mind, because when you are rational, you have the pure mind. Science is not making a fool of you. They are much more nearer to the truth than the physical mind. The physical mind is activated by the senses, and the senses are all giving you wrong information. No? That's a good thing. Color blindness is giving you wrong information. Your senses are giving you wrong information. The sun is not rising. This is the earth going around. So all senses are giving wrong information. It's valid for you in practical world, but it is not the truth. The analogy of dream is given, but as an analogy only, not as the intrinsic character of the world they live in. It is difficult for the positive physical mind. When the word positivism is used in the sense of materialism. Okay. Even in philosophy, in Western philosophy also, when you say positivism, it refers to the materialistic position. The positive physical mind to admit the idea that ourselves, the world and life, the sole thing to which our consciousness bears positive witness, again he has used the word positive witness, are inexistent. How can you believe that? Okay. A cheat imposed on us by that consciousness. Certain analogies are brought forward. Very difficult for the normal human being to think that the physical world is unreal. Impossible. We can't believe it. So he's saying certain analogies are brought forward, the analogy especially of dream and hallucination, in order to show that it is possible for the experience of the consciousness to seem to it real. He has given many examples, Shankara, and yet to be without any basis or without a sufficient basis in reality. That is what Sri Aurobindo will discuss. The image of dream, when you are having a dream, is it really unreal? That's a question that Sri Aurobindo will go into, and he will tell you that no, not at all. And it's a very interesting discussion, because where do the dreams come from? Okay, they come from so many sources. This Sri Aurobindo describes all of them, okay, in the next few paragraphs. So, without any basis or without a sufficient basis. Now look at the way Sri Aurobindo describes. He is giving you all the possibilities. Without any basis, total unreality. Without a sufficient basis, half true. Okay. As a dream is real to the dreamer so long as he sleeps, but waking shows it to be unreal. So our experience of world seems to us positive and real, but when we stand back from the illusion, we shall find that it had no reality. Now, when we stand back, the screen dissociates itself from the images being thrown on it. And that means that your consciousness, your soul, gets rid of the identification with body, mind, life. That's what it meant. Okay? So the screen realizing that these are images being thrown on me is exactly the same as your soul realizing that the body, mind, life are only coverings. They are not me. It's a house in which I am living. I am not the house. I am the owner of the house. I am living inside the house. I can change my house if I want. I can go, I can get another body, another life, another mind. That's what happens in rebirth. So, this is what it realizes. When we stand back, the standing back means exactly that, separation. And that is the reason why self-observation is so important in yoga. Why in yoga? Even in practical life, if you self-observe yourself, you will learn 100,000 things which are applicable in the world. Huh? When you look at yourself, you become more broad-minded also. Because what you see in yourself, defects, you see in others and judge them, you start realizing that that's not the way to judge. Okay. So there are so many things. Self-observation, very important. Not only observe your body, but observe your vital, all the deceitful movements of the vital in you, all the ignorance of the mind and the certitudes. The more ignorant you are, the more arrogant you are. As they say, empty vessels make a lot of noise. So, Ramakrishna also has this image. He says when the water is going into a pot, in the beginning there is sound. But as it keeps going, more and more, it gets full up, the sound becomes less and less. Even it changes. The sound also changes. And finally when the pot is full, there is no sound. You become soundless. So, now Sridhar is saying, since the image of dream is given, let us look at the dream image and see whether it is applicable. That's what he's saying. But it may be as well to give the dream analogy its full value and see whether our sense of world experience has, in a way, a similar basis. Is it really applicable? That's what he said. For the idea of the world as a dream, whether it be a dream of the subjective mind, or a dream of the soul, or a dream of the eternal. Okay? So here again, three possibilities. Subjective mind. You are being mistaken. There is no unreality in the physical. That's one theory. He has told you that earlier also, subjective mind. Or it can be a dream of the soul, not your mind, but your soul. Even the soul can be deceived. That's possible. Or a dream in the eternal. So three levels. First of all, your mind can make mistakes. Your soul also, when it is trapped in the body-mind life, it is constantly thinking that it is a body-mind life, so it can make a mistake. But can this mistake be at a higher level also? Yes, because even in the spiritual planes of consciousness, you don't have the reality, total reality. That's why I say they're using all the three. Subjective mind, soul, and eternal. Everywhere there is possibility of a misunderstanding and a wrong application and wrong experience. Not fully wrong, but more and more towards the right. Relativity, again, gradation, or a dream of an For the idea of the world as a dream, whether it be a dream of the subjective mind, or a dream of soul, or a dream of the... Nobody discusses like this in so much detail. Okay? Is often entertained, and it powerfully enforces the illusionist tendency in human feeling and thinking. If it has any validity, we must definitely see that, and the reasons. If it has any validity, we must definitely see that, and the reasons for its inapplicability, and set it aside well out of the way. And then we will see that although the image is not valid, then what is the validity of the experience of the illusion of the world? That's what we will discuss. Okay? And that's a whole section. Reality in the omnipresent. We have already started that section. Okay? So, if the world is an illusion, if it has some validity, we must see what it is and how far it goes. Again, see how far it goes. Again, there is a gradation. Okay? So, if the world is an illusion, but not a dream illusion, that distinction too must be put on a secure basis. Okay? So, we have discussed in great detail each word and each phrase, but quickly we will summarize the para that we have read today, and then we'll go on to the next para. Yeah, I've got it. Okay. So I'm going to read to you in very simply, we went into great detail, that's why. Now, he said in this paragraph, the cosmic illusion is often spoken of as an unreal subjective experience. It's a subjective experience. The world is not unreal. It's subjective. You are seeing it that way. Others may not see it that way. A dream that takes place in the infinite. Mayavada refers to the nirvana experience as an awakening from sleep and seeing the unreality of the world as a dream. To the physical mind, the world is very real and it cannot accept the solidity of the world as unreal. So, Mayavada uses the image of dream and wakefulness to explain its stand. It says, waking physical life is really, spiritually, asleep. When you think that you are awake, you are actually sleeping. This is also there in the Gita, okay? In which we see events which are really, really evanescent dreams. When we wake up, the dream is realized as unreal. Similarly, the world becomes unreal in the consciousness of the self, which alone is true, eternal and real. This is a powerful image and needs to be examined. If the image is valid, we must find the reason for its applicability If it is not valid, that too must be stated clearly. Again, if the world is a total illusion or a semi reality, that too must be put on a firm ground. This is what he is saying. Let us examine in detail and find out the truth of what the Mayavada philosophy. Okay? That's what he is saying. There are so many different. Now, can we go to the next para? Who will read? One of you has to read. Suki, you know. Yeah. Let Suki read today. She has not read for a long time.
Yes, I will read.
Okay.
Dream is felt to be unreal, first, because it ceases and has no further validity when we pass from one status of consciousness to another, which is our normal status. But this is not by itself a sufficient reason, for it may well be that there are different states of consciousness, each with its own realities. If the consciousness of one state of things fades back and its contents are lost, or even when caught in memory, seem to be illusory as soon as we pass into another state. That would be perfectly normal. But it would not prove the reality of the state in which we are now and the unreality of the other, which we have left behind us. If Earth if Earth circumstances begin to seem unreal to a soul passing into a different world or another plane of consciousness, that would not prove their unreality. Similarly, the fact that world existence seems unreal to us when you pass into the spiritual silence or into some nirvana does not of itself prove that the cosmos was all the time an illusion. The world is real to the consciousness dwelling in it. An unconditioned existence is real to the consciousness observed in nirvana. That is all that is established. But the second reason for refusing credit to our sleep experience is that a dream is something evanescent without antecedents and without a sequel. Ordinarily, too, it is without any sufficient coherence or any significance intelligence to our waking being. If our dreams were like our waking life, an aspect of coherence, each night taking up and carrying further a past continuous and connected sleep experience as each day takes up again our waking world experience, then dreams would assume to our mind quite another character. There is therefore no analogy between a dream and waking life. These are experiences quite different in their character, validity, order. Our life is accused of evanescence, and often it is accused too, as a whole, of a lack of inner coherence and significance. But its lack of complete significance may be due to our lack or limitation of understanding. Actually, when you go within and begin to see it from within, it assumes a complete connected significance. At the same time, whatever lack of inner coherence was felt before this appears, and we see that it was due to the incoherence of our own inner seeing and knowledge, and was not at all a character of life. There is no surface incoherence in life. It rather appears to our minds as a chain of form sequences, and if that is a mental delusion, as it is sometimes alleged, if the sequence is created by our minds and does not actually exist in life, that does not remove the difference of the two states of consciousness. For in dream, the coherence given by an observing inner consciousness is absent, and whatever sense of a sequence there is seem to be due to a vague and false imitation of the connections of waking life, a self-conscious mimesis. But this imitative sequence is shadowy and imperfect, fails and breaks always, and is often wholly absent. We see too that the dream consciousness seems to be wholly devoid of that control which the waking consciousness exercises to a certain extent over life circumstances. It has the nature automatism of a subconscious construction and nothing of the conscious will and organizing force of the evolved mind of a human being. Again, the evanescence of a dream is radical, and one dream has no connection with another. But the evanescence of the waking life is of details. There is no evidence of evanescence in the connected totality of a world experience. Our bodies perish, but souls proceed from birth to birth through the ages. Stars and planets may disappear after a lapse of eons or of many life cycles, but universe, cosmic existence may well be a permanent as it is certainly a continuous activity. There is nothing to prove that the infinite energy which creates it has an end or beginning, either of itself or of its action. So far there is a too great a disparateness between dream life and waking life to make the analogy applicable.
A very big para where he is discussing the differences between the dream and the physical world. Can the image be valid? That's what we're discussing, and he's pointing out very, very interesting differences. So we will look at that very carefully. Very interesting discussion. So, now, when we wake up, we feel, oh, dream was unreal. So, Sridhar is discussing what are the reasons why we feel it is unreal. So, first, because it ceases and has no further validity when we pass from one status of consciousness to another, which is our normal status. Our normal status is the waking consciousness. Okay? And it's got a span of 24 hours or less if you discount the sleep part. It is constantly, it's a status of consciousness. Okay? But this is not by itself a sufficient reason. So, can we say that when you're having one experience and then you have another experience, can we say that it is unreal? Certainly not, because it's like going from one room to another room, or what is real here in India may not be real elsewhere. Okay, there is no in Pondicherry there is no desert, but you go to Abu Dhabi or the Saudi Arabia, there is a desert. So can we say then the desert is a reality and this is not real? That you can't say that. It's only a different experience. That's what he's pointing out. What you are feeling in one state is not the same as another, but that means it is different. Difference is okay, but not unreality. How can you say that if you come back from Arabia and come to Pondicherry and say, I don't see any desert here, so it's unreal? You can't say that. That's what he's saying. Dream is felt to be unreal first because it ceases and has no further validity when we pass from one status of consciousness to another, which is our normal status. We are going from one room to another room. That doesn't mean the other room is unreal. But this is not by itself a sufficient reason. So he has discarded that reason. The field is unreal because it stops. But that's not it. For it may well be that there are different states of consciousness, each with its own realities. Now look at the humility with which he is saying this, okay? He is taking you by the hand and slowly revealing to you, and he could have very well said that there are different levels of consciousness, but he is not saying that. He is saying, but this is not by itself sufficient. For it may well be, look at that. It may well be, there could be, there are different states of consciousness. He knows very well that there are different states, but he is putting it this way, okay? To convince you, taking you by the hand and showing you that consider this also. That's a tone which he is using. Okay? For it may well be that there are different states of consciousness, each with its own realities. Exactly like different countries. In different countries, there are different realities. And in countries in the equators, there is no snow. But in the northern countries, there is snow. In the absolute northern countries, there is the aurora borealis. We don't see any such thing here. Okay? We have monsoons here. In the other countries, there is no monsoon. So, it is not a sufficient reason to say that it is unreal. It is different, but not unreal. Okay? That's what he said. But this is not by itself a sufficient reason. For it may well be that there are different states of consciousness, each with its own realities. If the consciousness of one state of things fades back and its contents are lost, or even when caught in memory, seem to be illusory as soon as we pass into another state, that would be perfectly normal. Obviously, as I said just now, we are in India and we have monsoons. You go to America, there are no monsoons there, there may be other things. Okay? So that's what is not unreal. But it would not prove the reality of the state in which we now are and the unreality of the other which we had left behind. Okay? Very clear, his argument. No? So, if each circumstance, sorry, if earth circumstances begin to seem unreal to a soul passing into a different world or another plane of consciousness, that would not prove their unreality. Why do you conclude that it's unreal? Okay, because you don't experience it, going from one room to another room. Similarly, the fact that world existence seems unreal to us when we pass into the spiritual silence or into some nirvana does not of itself prove that the cosmos was all the time an illusion. Okay? The world is real to the consciousness dwelling in it. And unconditioned existence is real to the consciousness absorbed in nirvana. When you are in that country of nirvana, then that is real, but the world is unreal. That is all that is established. When I am in India, the monsoons are real to me, but not the snowfall, okay? Not the desert. That's all. That is all that is established. But now there is another reason. There are three reasons he discusses for man to conclude that dreams are unreal. Now he is discussing the second reason. Okay. So, but the second reason for refusing credit to our sleep experience is that a dream is something evanescent, without antecedents and without a sequel. In the physical world, there is a past which is continuing into the present and which is also the future also is linked. There is a relation between the past, present and the future. There is no such thing in the dream. That's the second reason. Okay? So, that is the dream is something evanescent without antecedents, without the past and without a sequel, the future. There is nothing. But in the physical world, yes, there is a past and a future and a present which is all linked. That's why we feel there is real, but in a dream it's not like that. Ordinarily too, it is without any sufficient coherence or any significance intelligible to our waking being. Now that's interesting. Another reason is given. Ordinarily too, it is without any sufficient coherence. Sometimes you feel all sorts of funny things are happening. Okay, you may experience. Most people do experience. I am flying. Okay, but flight is not real in the physical world. Therefore, you conclude that it is anyway. It's an illusion. Okay, or I don't know if you have, but I have had experiences. I have had dreams where animals are talking. So that was something totally. So these are all unreal. That's what Shendra is saying. Without any sufficient coherence or any significance intelligible to our waking being. Now remember this, that do dreams have significance and coherence? That's what he will discuss. He will tell you later on. I'm giving you a little preview. Coherence is not there when you get dreams from the subconscious. It's a jumble. The subconscious is something wherein all your experiences are thrown in together in a chaotic manner. Everything is put there. And when it comes out in dream form, all sorts of things get connected and there is no sequence nor any significance. That is usually what happens when you get a dream from the subconscious. He will explain that. But sometimes there is no significance, but when you get images from the intraconscious, they have a huge significance. They can be a tremendous source of guidance for one, okay, from the intraconscious. So that he will discuss later on. So now he is telling you that there is no sufficient coherence. This is the second reason, that the dream has disappeared and In our physical life, the past has not disappeared, it is linked to the present and the future. So, ordinarily too, it is without any sufficient coherence or any significance intelligible to our waking being, which can be understood by a waking being. If our dreams wore, like our waking life, an aspect of coherence each night, taking up and carrying farther a past continuous and connected sleep experience, as each day takes up again our waking world experience, as each day takes up again our waking experience, then dreams would assume to our mind quite another character. Now, I often ask the children in the school, and many tell me that, oh, I can continue my dreams. Next day, I don't know if it is true because I have not seen that, but there are children who say that I can continue a dream if I want. Okay. Even if I wake up in the middle of the night, I go back to sleep again and I can continue my dream. I don't know if any of you have had that experience. But Sundar is saying there is usually an unconnectedness between two dreams. Okay. Ordinarily, he has used the word ordinarily. That's quite another character. There is therefore no analogy between a dream and waking life. They are two different. These are experiences quite different in their character, in their validity, and in their order. Character also is different, and validity also is different because each has its own validity. The physical validity is real, the dream validity is real also, but it's another category, another order, another level. Our life is accused of evanescence now. Somebody is saying, wait. Now, very interesting. He's saying, you are saying that there is a continuity in life and there is no continuity in dream. Wait, there are some people who are saying that even your life is evanescent. Okay, so that is what he is discussing. The objection to what he is saying, he is discussing that. Okay, so someone can object to what Sridhar is saying here and saying, wait, how are you saying that our life is continuous? It is also evanescent. Okay, so he is going to take up that question. Our life is accused of evanescence, and often it is accused too, as a whole, of a lack of inner coherence and significance. Okay, so this is an existentialist philosophy, and even the materialist philosophy, if you see very carefully, you have a life, and at the end of life, suddenly it comes to an end. Whether it be 100 years, or whether it be 50 years, or whether it be sometimes even 5 years, 6 years, the child can die at the age of 5, 6, okay? And then you start wondering what is the purpose of his having come into existence. It raises questions. I always refer back to one experience. You know that mother's embroidery department near the ashram? By the side of the dispensary, there is a mother's embroidery department. Okay? So there, it was a house bought by Doriswamy Iyengar. Doriswamy Iyengar was a very well-known, very famous lawyer in those days, and he was famous all over India because of his honesty. And he was an idealist, and he was a follower of Sri Aurobindo. He bought that house, and he had two daughters. One daughter stayed on in the ashram. Her name was Anasuya. And the other daughter, when she got married and she had a child, and at the age of 10, that child was run over by a truck. Now just imagine, if you are the mother of the child who is 10 years old and he is run over by a truck, what will be your reaction? What is the purpose of having lived 10 years if he was meant to die? Why was he given all these experiences? Suddenly he has died. What is the purpose in life? Is there any meaning? There doesn't seem to be any meaning at all. If his destiny was to disappear, why not disappear in the beginning? Why cheat somebody? Okay. This is what happens. And then sometimes you lose faith also in the reality of the world also. So that's what he's saying. Our life is accused of evanescence, and often it is accused too as a whole of a lack of inner coherence and significance. This is referring, I think, to many philosophies. Not the Buddhistic and not the other, because there is a purpose to life. because there is rebirth. But when there is no rebirth, it is insignificant, it is meaningless. You come into the physical world and then you have one period of 100 years or 50 years or 10 years and then you disappear. Why at all did you come here? What is the purpose? So you start. This is the existentialist theory also. The existentialism sees the difficulties of the physical world and can't explain falsehood, okay, evanescence, okay, they can't explain and say, but that's exactly what you have to accept. So that's what Siddhartha is saying here. This sentence refers to that. Our life is accused of evanescence and often it is accused to as a whole of a lack of inner coherence and significance. There is no significance to a life which has lived 10 years, 15 years, 20 years and suddenly disappears. Why at all did it come into existence? That's what Siddhartha is discussing. He is answering his own, he is answering to an objection which earlier he has said that life seems to have a consequence and a connectedness. So he's saying there can be no connectedness in something that is suddenly disappearing. Now, I read the next sentence. For in dream, but its lack of complete significance may be due. Again, now he is answering the objection. Okay, this is his way of doing. He raises a question. He says life has a sequence. Then he says, okay, let's discuss the opposite view, and then he is answering to that opposite view now. But its lack of complete significance may be due to our lack or limitation of understanding. Maybe we don't understand. The one who is objecting to my statement that life has a sequence and a continuity, maybe he doesn't understand it. That's why he's raising this question. Actually, when we go within, deep into yourself, and begin to see it from within, it assumes a complete connected significance. Our life is connected. It has a significance. It is connected with the past life and a future life. And there is a clear course, just as in waking life also. Yesterday, today and tomorrow are all connected. In the lives also of individuals, the past life and the present life and the future life is connected. This you see when you go within. Okay? You don't see it when you are in your outside consciousness. It assumes a complete connected significance. At the same time, whatever lack of inner coherence, oh God, time has gone already. Anyway, my student has come. I'm sorry I got so involved in the discussion that I've gone beyond the time. Okay, so we'll have to stop here. Okay, I'm sorry. So, our life is accused of evanescence. Let's take it up from there. Okay. Suki.
Yes, I will make a note.
Okay, note down. In the middle of a para. Okay. Our life is accused of evanescence. Take it up from there.
Yes.
Alright? I'm sorry, I am cutting it short, but I got so involved with the argument that I forgot the time. It's already nearing 8:40. My student is waiting here, so I have to cut. Alright?
Ball.
Good for everybody.
Merci
Have a good
beaucoup.
day.